Hello everyone, welcome to the third episode of The Expansion Point. I am your host, Brad Johnson. Thank you so much for joining me today on Google Hangouts. Our next expansion point is actually going to be happening next month, so there will be a bit of a 2-week hiatus, so to speak, after this episode, but we will be coming back with the fourth episode that will be happening around the end of September. So again, stay tuned for that. But today, with the expansion point, what we're going to be talking about is the energy body and the Akashic. Before we get into that, though, there's a couple of announcements that I'm going to make. I'm currently in a transition right now, moving to California. So it's kind of just a transitioning period where I'm still kind of visiting in high capacity, being in the majority of California for a great period of time, and then coming back here to where I am in Vancouver, BC, Canada. So there is a transition period happening, and I'm basically just looking to get things together in California, starting some events there, also working on developing some intuitive development classrooms happening in California. So for those of you that are in the OC area, within the Southern California area, if you would like to get together sometime and get some groups going, get some intuitive development classes going, body regeneration, healing, sacred circuitry, light language, and a lot more, then by all means feel free to stay in contact with me, as I am looking to open up a lot more within the Southern California area, between the areas of, I'd say, Irvine, Corona del Mar, Carlsbad, Encinitas, etc. Those particular areas are going to be kind of the hot spots. San Diego as well too, going to be the hot spots for some of these upcoming classrooms. There's also an event that is looking to be done here around September in California. There will be more details on ConsciousMatrix.com, hopefully within the next few days. ConsciousMatrix.com is now an official affiliate with Portal to Ascension. You can go to the website portaltoascension.org, and so there will be a lot of joint venture participation between Portal to Ascension, between ConsciousMatrix.com, also with another friend of mine, Rob Gauthier, with Enlightenment Evolution Network. That is also coming on board with Portal to Ascension and ConsciousMatrix.com. So we are in the phase of creating a very strong, unified collective of energy, and we're getting some really big-time speakers. And so we're really going to start bringing in some really amazing events happening here in the next few weeks. Speaking of big events, there is one coming up called the Portal to Ascension Cosmic Reunion. And again, that's going to be happening this coming Saturday, starting at 10:30 a.m., I believe. You can go to portaltoascension.org, and you can go ahead and sign up for that. I will be presenting. There will be other speakers, such as Omnek Onek. She is a Venusian contactee, or in that sense, a Venusian being. Very, very fascinating. So she will be part of the event as well. We will also have Peter Sterling, Amateo Ra. So it's really going to be a very, very amazing event. So feel free to check that out. And of course, the channel panel will be coming in September as well. You can go to trebchanneling.com and you can find out more about that. That will be a participatory event, just a channeling discussion panel, so to speak, that I too will be a part of. So again, channel panel on trebchanneling.com. Feel free to go ahead and check that out as well too. Also, don't forget that after today's event, as we will be wrapping up the show just before 6 p.m. Pacific, go ahead and check out the Enlightenment Evolution Hour. I believe Rob Gauthier's show is on tonight, starting at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, and I believe he has a special guest tonight, Daniel Scranton, who I just did an interview with the other day, and it was quite exciting. So again, go to blogtalkradio.com, type in Enlightenment Evolution Hour, and you'll be able to stumble upon that, and you can check that out. It's really, really amazing plethora of shows. So, with all those announcements out of the way, we're going to go ahead and get started with today's show. For those of you who do have questions for later on with Adronis, just feel free to use our Q&A app here on Google Hangouts. Just type in your question, hit post, and we'll be looking at your questions at the latter half of the event of the show today, where Adronis will come through a standing conscious channeling, and we'll be able to address certain questions that become selected. All right. So the energy body and the Akashic. Hopefully you guys can see okay. So I make sure the lighting's all right so you guys can see everything on the board. But if by chance the letters are too small, don't worry. I am going to be going over everything here that's placed. So the energy body and the Akashic, what we're going to do first is we're going to take a look at the energy body. Well, what is one of the very simple things in the basic spirituality practicum that we can take a look at? Well, that would represent the chakra centers. Now, again, a lot of people are very familiar with this in meditation, in yoga, etc. what is it about the chakra centers? So let's go ahead and draw a funny little stick man here. Okay? And we're just going to elaborate more on the, let's see if I got everyone right here. The heart chakra is supposed to be there, so that's a heart chakra. Third eye, and the crown. Okay? So we're going to just look into the idea of the 7 chakras. Now, are the 7 chakras an actual part of the body? No, they are not. They are not actually in any particular way affiliated with the physical body, yet these are the points to where they occupy. When a created body is brought forward, these are simply placements in regards to energetic equilibrium that allow certain forms of energetic to physical gateways that represent our own chemical bodies to actually function properly. So when we're looking at the idea of our root chakra, our sacral chakra, our solar plexus chakra, our heart chakra, our throat chakra, our third eye chakra, our crown chakra, these are our spiritual connections. These are our gateways between that which represents source energy and between our physical body. So they are, you could say, ethereal portals, and that these particular energies into these 7 basic chakra centers are not only the chakra centers that you can look at, but we also have a lot more. We have ones in the feet, in the hands. We say the feet here, the hands here. We also have other ones around the face. We also have multiple eyes that actually go 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, all the way up to the tip of the crown chakra as well. So we have many different types of, you could say, for the lack of a better term, miniature chakra centers that we work with. Our own senses as well too contain chakra centers as well too. These are again just gateway devices. These are particular forms of energies that are being housed by our soul. Our soul basically utilizes these forms of portals, these forms of gateways to communicate with the physical body, because the physical body itself is just a tool, a device that functions within the soul, within our own energy. So if we're looking at the idea of the chakra centers, what can we do to really maintain these chakra centers? There's a lot of ideas that, you know, if you visualize a lot of their retrospective colors pertaining to the chakra centers, that this can help with a large amount of facilitation, helping to clear the body, because again, it is the direct bridge, the direct gateway energetically between the ethereal and the physical body, the material body. And that certainly is one way. So if we're looking at the crown chakra, or sorry, the root chakra, then we'll see the color red, right? So we can close our eyes, we can observe the color red, we just see this redness within our third eye, within our mind's eye, and we're just concentrating on that red energy. That's fantastic, absolutely. You can certainly do that, and this can help to calibrate the root chakra. What you can also do is you can imagine symbols coming out of the particular appropriate colors containing to the chakra centers. So let's again go into the red spectrum. Let's go into the root chakra. So this is what I'd like all of you who are just tuning in right now, if you'd like to do. Okay. So we're going to look right into the root. And as we're going to bring our attention into the root chakra, you're going to imagine, again, its appropriate color representing red. But what you're also going to do is you're going to set an intention. You're going to set an intention for a symbol to appear out of the color red. Okay? Now, what's the point of this symbol? Why are we bringing a symbol out into the chakra center? This is to actually help you to become more consciously connected with the root chakra. The root chakra is actually going to communicate with you based upon its vibratory energetic frequency, the color red in that sense, based upon everything that represents kind of the elemental phases of your own physical body, really working strongly together in the physical. The root chakra really represents the grounded chakra, the survival chakra, the living chakra, so to speak. So when you're actually having a symbol that comes together, you're allowing that symbol to be brought into your conscious awareness, and now your subconscious will bridge together with your conscious awareness as you focus on the symbol a lot more, and the root chakra will actually be able to communicate with you a lot more extensively through the use of this symbol based upon permission. So let's just go ahead now and let's close our eyes. And let's just bring our attention now to the root chakra. Just feeling it at the base of the spine. And I want you now just to imagine in your mind the color red. Just seeing only the color red, a simple color. It does not have to be any other type of images, just seeing the simple color red within your mind. And now I just want you to bring forward an intention. The intention is, it is my intention, to bring forward the symbol so that I may be consciously contacted, communicated with the root chakra. Let this particular symbol come through, be a direct communication link between my conscious awareness and my root chakra. And now let that symbol present, whatever it may be. So in my case, it was that. Okay. Now you may notice that as you do this more and more, that the symbols will start to change, and that's great. That's the whole point, because you are dealing with ethereal consciousness. You are dealing with hyperspace. You're dealing with hyperspatial realms. Now everybody's symbol will be different. You may have people that are able to just draw maybe a simple pentagram like that. Maybe that's their symbol that represents the root chakra. You may have a person that may just draw a number 3. That's great. Whatever comes into your mind, it does not have to be super sophisticated. It does not have to be so intricate. It could be something that's very, very simple. Something like this, something like this, something like that. All you're doing is you're allowing your mind to bring forward, through permission, on the state of your intention, a symbol that you're connecting with. And that whatever this symbol may be, you're just going to start utilizing that in your forms of meditation. You can feel free to draw it out on a piece of paper and just place it under your bed, place it under your chair, maybe if you're doing a lot of computer work, and just letting that symbol go to work. Now that symbol has been brought into your conscious state of awareness. So all you have to do with that symbol is just allow it to saturate itself, so to speak, energetically within your own energetic field. And you'll notice that over the span of a few days that you'll become a lot more aware of the root chakra. The root chakra will actually have that form of ethereal intelligence to communicate with you. This can basically help out with certain areas of looking after your body, looking after finances, looking after stability in your physical reality, etc. Okay? So that's just something that you can go ahead and try. And all you're doing is you're just repeating the same process with the sacral chakra, with the solar plexus, with the heart, with the throat, with the third eye, with the crown chakra. Okay? That's all you're doing. You're just continuing the appropriate vibratory color levels relating to all of these remaining chakra centers and just doing the same thing. Closing your eyes, bringing your attention to that particular chakra center, giving that intention for a symbol to come through, to helping yourself allow a conscious bridged contact, a direct link between that chakra center and your conscious awareness, so that chakra center can now activate within yourself. It's very, very simple. This is not hard, ladies and gentlemen. This is quite easy. It means this is spirituality. This is it. This is what it is. It's the science of the simple. I've been able to do this with many other participants that have been part of the online classrooms, as well as doing some of the local classrooms here in Vancouver, and the result has been staggering. It's been amazingly powerful. People have noticed that they've improved their psychic abilities through this particular technique. They've been able to channel their bodies a lot more strongly. They've gained a lot more state of awareness. They're moving more into conscious matrix communication. As you start to just bring about the science of the simple techniques relating to your energy body. And the energy body is just, it's so cooperative. It wants to work with you. It's not complicated. Everything in regards to reality is an interface. And so all we're doing is we're creating these interfaces of simple little symbols. Something like that, as simple as it looks, can be very, very sophisticated in regards to its result of what is being brought forward into your energy body. So the chakra centers can be aligned in the way of communicating with you much more extensively. Okay? So that's just a little rundown, so to speak, of the chakras, about how you're able to connect with them through symbols and allowing them to communicate with you through reality. So now let's take a look at attunements. Okay, so let's say we've gone ahead and we've done all 7 chakra centers. We've been able to discover symbols through them. It's been maybe a few days, and we're actually now starting to feel effects. but we had a really, really, really hard day at work, or just a draining day, and I don't feel spiritual right now. I don't feel metaphysical right now. I don't feel like I have extensive, amazing, galactic, universal, harmonic consciousness. I do not feel aligned with the Creator. I feel like I am down in the dumps. What in the name of Sirius do I do? Well, if you feel you have a hard day, one particular attunement that works very well is what's known as the attunement of checking in. Now, this can always be a challenge for us to do, because when we feel exhausted, when we feel depleted, when we feel that we don't have any more energy, I don't want to check in. I don't want to have to just body fix yourself, for God's sakes, right? It's all about the whole idea of coming to center. Now, coming to center really does not take an effort. If you feel that you have to take such an effort in coming to center and to checking in, then you're doing too much. All it really takes is that give yourself a moment to relax. You know, sit on your couch for a moment. Give yourself time to breathe. Just feel the breath. Just let the breath cycle through your body, breathing in and breathing out. It takes no effort whatsoever. You're always going to be breathing. That's all you're doing. Follow the breath. If you feel that these thoughts are cluttering to yourself, just imagine that all of these thoughts are frozen in time. They simply exist in a still frame. And what you're doing is you're stepping outside of that still frame. And all you're doing is keeping track of your breath. You're just paying attention to the natural rhythm. You do not even have to breathe in a form of exaggerated deepness. You're just allowing your natural rhythm of breathing to be the state of your focus. So, okay, that takes such an effort, right? And that's all you're doing, is you're checking in. The checking in simply allows your focus to come into the rhythm of the breathing, and that all of these thoughts are just put on pause, just as if you were to take remote control and go, boop, pause. And those thoughts are on pause, and you're checking in. And you're just imagining that if all of these bubbles of thoughts are around you, and now they're on pause, it's like you're stepping outside of the physical matter. You're stepping outside of the drama being, which represents the self. So the self is being stepped out of. And now you're just basically coming into the alignment of checking in. Now, if we are able to successfully check in just by observing the breath, we're just being very, very mindful of our space. We're being very, very mindful of awareness. We're becoming aware of awareness. And that's all we're doing. We're not feeling that we need to go into problem-solving mode and discover how all of these thoughts need to be resolved, because that's going to take an effort. And right now, all you want to do is check in. All you want to do right now is be the stillness of the moment. And so that is the checking in principle. This is how the energy body can recover upon itself. By continuing to do an example just like following the breath, just paying attention to the natural rhythm of your breathing, you'll notice that that stillness is just coming together, and it's feeling like you're in a void state. And you're just considering the idea that your awareness is broadening into this void, to where there is no matter, to where there is no energy, to where there is no idea of expression. You're simply contained. And this is the attunement. This is exactly what your body needs. Thank you. Have a clean slate. Have a blank page that you're looking at, so that the body can now rejuvenate itself as you check in. And you may notice that after a few minutes, for example, of checking in, that you may start to bring more into cognizance. You may start to bring in more awareness. You may decide that, oh, you know what, that feels better. That feels good. I think I'm going to get up from my couch, and I'm going to go take a bit of a walk around the block. I'm going to go up to this park here locally and just walk around the trees. Now, how did I decide to do that? If I'm just checking in and I'm just following the pace of the breathing, and I'm basically in a state of nothingness, how did I get the idea that I wanted to take a walk, or that I just wanted to walk around the block or go into a park? You're following a law of naturalness. So the checking in represents the idea of following the tendency of naturalness. So you're no longer feeling that you're so obligated to resolve in all of these problems, whatever the hardship may be, finances, relationships, family, moving, traveling, whatever it may be. That's not on your mind. You're simply in the space to where the breath itself has kept you centered, has brought you into checking in with yourself. You've stepped outside of the drama body, and now you're here. You're in this state of void. And the void, for however long it's decided to stay with you, has brought you into a state of absolute serenity. Doesn't mean that you have to follow the chakra centers red, orange, yellow, green, blue, violet. No. It's not that you're doing any kind of thought propulsion exercise. When you're checking in, don't worry about thought propulsion. Don't worry about preparation. Don't worry about visual stimulation. Don't worry about what you have to feel you think. Don't worry about the methods that you feel you have to conduct. Sometimes the best thing for you to do to be completely serene is do absolutely nothing. That's the key. That's the whole point. My God, Brad, that's too easy. That is easy, right? It's science of the simple, right? Checking in and being into those moments of stillness will help you to move more into a state of naturalness. Naturalness has no thought. Okay? It simply is void. And when you are getting up from your couch and you're deciding to go outside and you're deciding to go for a walk in the park, you're not even thinking about it. You're following the natural constant of flow. Just like those who channel, they're not thinking about what they're attempting to say when they're channeling. They are basically just going into the flow process and they're letting the words become themselves. When you feel anchored into the centeredness of checking in, you get up from your couch, you go outside the door, and you just start walking. You're not even thinking about it. You're just, oh, okay, I'm off. You know, and you're just going for it. You're following the flow of the moment, and that's the key. Thought itself, again, can be wonderful, but it's overrated in this aspect. We're not looking for thought. We don't want thought. We don't care about thought. Thought can take a coffee break, right? All that's happening right now is for you to rejuvenate your energy body. Rejuvenate yourself is you're bringing yourself into that state of natural flow. Flow really doesn't have too much of a vast expression to it, other than feeling that you are reacting to the sense of void that creates impulse that follows naturalness. And that's the key, is just letting yourself be in that natural flow, in that state of naturalness, and just doing something because it is. That's it. It doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel bad, it just represents the wholeness of yourself. It represents that naturalness. So this is what Adronis refers to as the law of naturalness, going beyond character, going beyond drama, to participate in an impulse generated through flow, to create a natural equilibrium with yourself and all fundamental bodies contained in reality. That's the whole idea. Okay? So that's one particular idea of an attunement. Now again, it's not to say that thought is the enemy. Of course not. Thought can be a wonderful thing. But the whole idea is if we drown ourselves in physicalized ideas being commenced through thought, based on principles, based on barriers, and if we just wear ourselves out, all we're going to do is just continue to draw more of these boxes. And they're going to get smaller and smaller and smaller because I'm constantly thinking, what do I do now? Oh my goodness, I'm short on money. What do I do now? Oh my goodness, this person doesn't like me. What do I do now? Oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm doing right now. What do I do now? And that's all we're doing. We're creating these continual boxes to making our reality feel smaller, because here's a thought that creates another thought, that creates another thought, that creates another thought, and if we're looking at source consciousness right here, we're so far plummeted down into a descension pertaining to thought, we're not even close to getting up there. Look at all these thoughts that we've created to try and attain a state of liberation, to return us back to source, to turn us back to void. So that's something that we are just attempting to learn, that thoughts can be very, very addictive. They generate sub-thoughts, and then sub-sub-thoughts, and then sub-sub-sub-thoughts, and we just get lost into the melodrama of life. So the attunements themselves can come through many other different means. They can certainly be done through visual stimuli. They can certainly be done through affirmation. They can be done through meditation, etc. But all it really, really takes is you to check in. That is the check-in attunement. That's what really helps your body to process, because there is no more excessive stimuli pertaining to thought that is cluttering up the body. Every time you think of a thought that represents a burden upon yourself, there is now some form of energy within your body that is going to calibrate that sensation of burden, as your body represents a gauge. Why? Because it's created within soul. Your body is a part of your soul. It's not that your soul, in that sense, is just existing outside of your body and that it's just a different separation from you. This body is created through soul. It's created through spirit. It's created through mind. It's created through all that represents the non-corporeal, all that represents a remote consciousness, non-localized, for us to have this illusion of physical matter, as again, many of us may already know this. Okay? So that's attunement. Looking into the idea of, again, checking in. Now we move on to posturing. Hey, what does this mean? Well, again, one of the biggest things through our own depressive states is when we have thoughts that are coming through, this just can create a lot of turmoil for us. You know, we feel like we're slouching back on chairs, or we're sleeping uncomfortably. We're basically interacting with the body in a way that the depression, the anger, the sadness, whatever that may be, is reflecting into the posture of our body. You ever seen a person that just walks down the street and you know they're having the most miserable day ever? You want to care about what I have to do anymore. This absolutely sucks. I can't stand my life. It's horrible. Oh my God, please get me out of this. I can't stand it. Right? That's it. That's exactly what posture has the effect in regards to the emotional state generated through thought. Okay? So, again, it's going back into the idea of attunement. When you walk confidently, there's an energy with that. You know, when you're just, you know, wonderful day, amazing day. It feels great to be alive. Look at the feel of the sunshine on my face. Just feel everything's so great. And you can pick those people out a mile away because they have their posture is defining their attitude. It's defining the thought process. They are thinking a lot more positively. And again, there are the positive people that represent that posture. And there are people who are just very, very zen. They're just, you know, not even without the idea of super positive or super negative. They just feel balanced. There's just this humility in their face. There's a humility in their walk. There's a humility about how they stand. There's just that natural form of emotional expression that comes together that dignifies posture. So let's say, if we go back into the example, that we had a very, very ungodly day, and the person is just kind of standing rather like this. What do we do? How can we repair that situation? How can we repair this whole fundamental pertaining to the form of posture? Well, first of all, you have to pick yourself up. Again, that goes back into the checking in principle, because you're not just going to all of a sudden want to do, you know, a jazz hand kind of dance if you're feeling down in the dumps. Right? You're not going to feel that whole sensation of wanting to do a Cats musical, so to speak, or a Phantom of the Opera, or whatever musical you like, based upon a day that you know is absolutely sucked. The first part is admittance. Someone comes up to me and says, Brad, my day absolutely sucked. You know what? The days can suck. They can absolutely suck. And you know what, brother? I know exactly how you feel, because I've had sucky days as well, too. So if someone approaches me like that and says, oh my God, Brad, my day sucks so bad. Yeah, I know what you mean. Because now, what have I done? When I've created that response of saying, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, I've been there myself. I'm playing along with the state of admittance. I'm looking into the idea of generating rapport. I'm not saying this just to sympathize, like, oh man, yeah, I mean, look at you, you got mud all over you. Your day really sucks, huh? You know, that's not going to help. It's not about the idea of, oh, just suck it up, you big friggin' baby. You know, that's not going to help either, right? It's not about the idea, well, you know, if you really look at this in retrospect, this is just a vibratory capacity that you have aligned to, and you haven't been able to trigger other particular thought principles within yourself, and your thought forms are still running rampant, and you're not able to align to the metaphysical properties of what you are naturally, truthfully, and to the divinest way of your own being. That doesn't help either. I'm not here for a philosophical lesson. I'm here for the idea of saying, Brad, my day absolutely sucked. Yeah, man, I know what you mean. My days have sucked as well, too. I understand exactly where you're coming from. And that generates a response. Now, Mr. Depression here, starting to feel better. He hasn't been criticizing me. He hasn't been judging me. He hasn't been throwing me on a tangent in some philosophical, mechanical process. He's not saying for me to suck it up. He's listened to what I said. Right? So if there is another person that's present and you want to talk to them about that, you're going to notice how listening is the key, right? That's how the aspect of posture is becoming recreated. It's starting to realign itself properly through the love and listen principle. This is the ultimate healing. This is how you heal. So when you're really looking at posture, you're looking at the aspect to heal, right? Now, when we look at this, when we take a look at the idea that we're loving and that we're listening, and someone says, you know what, I just need some healing time. I need some healing time, and I need to heal, I need to take a break, and I need to rest, and I need to heal. And I would say to that person, well, what do you feel is your healing? How would you heal? Just need to be on my own. Okay. You need to be on your own, being in your own space. Very, very good. Now, being on your own, do you intend to do something exciting while being on your own? No, I'm just going to sit there and do nothing. That's great as well, too, because we do know the power of nothingness. So the whole idea is that we'll certainly get that whole point of going back into void. We'll get into that energy. We'll check in. We'll flow in that way as well, too. And then we'll have that beautiful day. But again, what I'm getting at is that when we're looking at the idea of healing, it's not about the idea of a quick fix. We're not doing patch healing here. Okay? What that basically means is if a person is feeling really, really down, and they need to check in, they want to go inside themselves, but they know they're not really doing that much. They think they're going inside the void. They think they're going into a nirvana bliss state. Yeah, I just kind of sat there for a few minutes. I watched my breath, and I didn't do anything else, and I just kind of sat there because I'm so depressed, etc., etc. And that can certainly happen. You're not going to be healing. You're not healing yourself by doing that. It really is, again, the seriousness of simplicity. You're being seriously simple, right? So the healing itself will come through the aspect that if we have a negative situation right here, and we're looking to develop a positive situation, the healing comes from positive reinforcement. That's how it happens. If there's a scale here, where on this side is a big negative heap, right? And on this side is just a little bit, teeny bit of positive mass. If all we're going to do is just sit in neutrality, which is great, but we don't really understand the bliss of what neutrality is because we've given no positive reinforcement to bring ourselves into the point to where the scale tips. So when we are following a state of negative connotation, we feel these negative thought forms, we feel like everything in the world is negative. If you feel that you want to go into your room and check in that way, you will discover that, again, people who may be very depressed or very angry will have a very challenging time doing this because they're still having a challenge stepping outside of the drama body. So this is kind of leading into what I was just talking about with attunement, with checking in, right? You want to give yourself some type of positive recognition. You want to give yourself some type of positive reinforcement because if you are so unbelievably, amazingly depressed, so unbelievably, amazingly angry or sad, you're just going to sit there, and what you'll generate is not the feeling of checking in because you'll be too sad to check in. You'll be too depressed to check in. What you're going to generate is apathy. You will go into your room and you will be apathetic. I don't care. I don't want to do this. I don't know. Life sucks. It's horrible. It's awful. And even when a person is telling you, yeah, I understand what you mean, I understand what you mean, that certainly brings a great pick-me-up because now a person is able to bring some of that positive reinforcement to you. They're bringing positive energy together to help counterbalance that negative energy. So that's great. That's a really great thing as well. But if you're by yourself, for example, and you know you've had a hard day, and you know it's absolutely horrible, and you want to be able to heal yourself, when we try to go into that neutral zone, when we are so negatively connotative, that form becomes apathy. We cannot reach the neutral zone when we are so heaped with negativity. Okay? So when you are going into checking in, you want to make sure that there is some type of positive reinforcement that's coming through yourself, perhaps coming through another, talking to another, whatever that may be. And when you have that kind of nice balanced scale where you're starting to feel pretty good about yourself, maybe you just need to observe your breath for a few minutes and you're starting to feel that rhythm again coming in. There's positive flow coming in, positive flow coming in, positive flow coming in. And that's helping to adjust the scale. And when we adjust the scale, then we can fully check in. Then we can fully be able to observe the breath and follow a law of naturalness. You cannot follow a law of naturalness when you're polarized. It simply can't be done, right? So the whole idea here is that our posturing can be improved through the ability of not being apathetic, of not feeling that we have to work together so extensively with the negative connotation and feel that we're not giving any positive juice, so to speak, to allow the scale to be balanced. Okay? So this is an add-on to the idea of the attunement, that when you're checking in, you want to give yourself some type of stimulating positive relaxation, stimulating positive criteria that will assist in some weaving of the balancing. Okay? That's it, because I have met people who feel, yeah, you know, I try to follow the breath, and I try to imagine void, and I try to see nothingness, but I'm just too depressed. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to take care of this. I don't want to have this happen. That's completely understandable. Completely understandable, because again, the negative scale is being the heavy part of the scale that's tipping over the positive. So you want to make sure that positive energy is used as a counterbalance. Okay? So all you're attempting to do is now equalize the scale so that they are even. Now you can go into the neutral zone. Now you can check in. Now you can go into the law of naturalness. That's how it's done. Anytime you have polarity, that polarity itself will keep you into a point of atrophy, not being able to get yourself into a good state of integrity, to going into a state of naturalness, but you'll be atrophied, which represents the idea you're feeling that you're kind of wearing yourself out, to the idea of the balance of polarities. So you want to make sure that those polarities are adjusted through meditation, through verbal stimulus, talking to a best friend, whatever it is. Just bring some positive stimulation forward so that you can neutralize yourself and come into center and check in. Okay? And that's what improves posture. The posture itself is all based upon mentality. You know, sometimes we'll just want to intuitively stretch ourselves. You know, sometimes I'm not following any particular technique with Tai Chi or anything like that. I'm just letting the body naturally express itself, right? So I'm basically just letting the body completely unwind. I'm not following any technique. I'm not following any tactic. My arm feels like going up this way and going back down. My arm feels like going up this way, arching myself a little bit and going back down. I'm basically aspiring to complement the body based upon the type of postures that I want to do. And these are great as well too, because now you're not thinking about it. You're just letting the energy of the body communicate naturally with you, because this is where the body is looking to receive energy efficiency so that it can start to correct itself, so that the energy itself can come together. And you'll notice that it will come through delicate movements. That's why Tai Chi, something like that, is very, very beneficial. Qigong is very beneficial because it does deal with the subtleties of the body, working together with one's own environment, with one's own energy field. Okay. All right, we have to move on because we are running out of time. I can go on to these things for like 2 hours. All right, so circuits. So again, this is basically where we just covered the information relating to the chakras. Okay. Where we're basically just pulling out a symbol. Okay. Just a simple little spontaneous symbol there. Now circuits can be a very, very powerful thing for the energy body. So if I decided to create this based upon the idea of relaxation of the entire body. So I basically just pulled that out of the Akashic records. I pulled that out of the Akasha, and that was giving me the symbolism necessary for me to generate the state of the subject line, which represents relaxation. So if I'm creating relaxation as a subject line, and then I produce this circuit, then this circuit has now been coded specifically for that purpose. This is sacred circuitry. Okay? It does not take a lot of, again, a lot of know-how to do this. This is something that's very, very simple. It's not about the idea that you have to conform it to a style of language that may be fluid, whether it be something here on Earth or something here that's celestial, etc. You're really not paying attention too much to form, other than the form that is spontaneously generated. This is why it's a little bit more advanced than what people have shared sacred circuitry is. For those particular forms of sacred circuitry that have been shared, it's very, very kindergartenish. That's very, very preschoolish in that way. This is more in the idea that spontaneity is creating the form, and the form is a result of the ethereal consciousness, of the codes that are coming through based upon the subject line. Okay? This is, again, kind of like remote viewing in a way, that we have a target, that we have a reference number, that we create an ideogram, and then we are producing information relating to that, which would be remote viewing. This is a little bit different because it's the symbol, it's the ideogram, it's the holographic that matters, because that's what we're creating spontaneously, right? Now, through a sacred circuit, if I was to create this like that, that's great. And I may want to be a little bit more advanced. I may want to bring light language into it, okay? Okay? Just a little spontaneous bit of voice, little sounds here that I'm creating. I'm not paying attention to what I'm even saying. I'm just letting the voice, I'm letting the sounds carry itself out. So this would be a particular symbol, circuit, that represents the state of relaxation. Okay. Now, some people may still need to give this a little bit of a try and start to work in regards to trust. It is trust that makes these circuits so powerful. If you do not trust what you're doing, then you're not really going to generate a very pure response with the circuit. You want to make sure that you're open, you're trusting, and you're interpreting. Okay, that's the key. So sacred circuitry can work very, very well with the subconscious by being brought into your conscious awareness to allow the effect of a relaxation vibration to come together. What we have here on the board is a life form. This is an organism. We're not just seeing simple little lines being produced on a two-dimensional board. We have created a life. And now that life that has been translated into this imprint is now working together with our subconscious. This is now going to start working very, very extensively. And what I have found with sacred circuits is they work the most powerfully when we sleep. So usually when I'm doing a sacred circuit for somebody, I will say, just print this out, you know, get it for your printer, print it out, and just put it under your pillow when you go to sleep. Put it under your bed and keep it there for a few days, because this is now going to start generating relaxation. Okay? So this is now going to work together with your own field. It's contained within your field. Your subconscious is aware of that. Now your subconscious is being rematerialized, is being re-broadened, recalibrated, so to speak, so that these energies of vibration can now start to just kind of mute these chords that are antithesis to relaxation. So now they silence. And now new chords are being plucked. Ding, 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 ding. And now this represents relaxation. There's relaxation vibes coming through. I just wake up in the morning and I feel so blessed. I feel so blessed. I feel so amazing. Oh my God, the day is going to be amazing. You can just hear it in the person's voice, right? They're so calm. They're so zen. They feel so amazing. How did this happen? While they were sleeping, their own conscious ego self was taken out of the equation. And now they could go deeper into the subconscious of their own dream states so that the sacred circuit could remedy certain forms of situations. Can you get nightmares in the middle of the night when you have sacred circuits? Oh, yeah. You definitely can. I've certainly had nightmares as well, too. It's not to say that the circuit is torturing you, but it's more so in the idea of a negotiation that's taking place that represents some type of volatile conflict that is in conflict together with what you're attempting to achieve. And based upon how the dream is interpreted, that represents a shedding, that represents a purging that comes together. So that basically holds the idea of the sacred circuit going to work in the forms of the subconscious that can create these architectures from the higher self, bringing you into these intense nightmare-like images. But that's all part of the process. That's part of the purging effect. Just like how we're detoxifying our body with diet, which we'll get to in a second, is that we're just allowing the body to be flushed. We're allowing detoxification to take place. Our cells are now in a much more higher integral state. Our circulation is improving, and now our body can operate a lot more. The same with our mind, that we have these nightmares, and it's being flushed out. It's like indigestion, it's being flushed out. We're giving ourselves a dream enema, in a nice way, of course, right? So that's basically what's happening there. Okay. So diet. So relating to diet, again, as we know, is there some type of generic diet that we can all take that will make every single person on the planet feeling 100% better? No, not really. There can certainly be commonalities in regards to certain people of the diet that they choose. But in order for them to have a 100% feeling of transformation, you need to talk to your body. The only best diet is your best diet, the diet that you decide. And what I usually do is when I go into a grocery store, I usually go into like the markets, for example, and I start muscle testing. I usually wait till there's not too many people around, so I go into the aisles. I'm basically holding up some rice. You know, here's some rice here. Put it right there. Okay, body, would you really like this tonight? Oh, very, very strong response. Okay, so I got some nice, beautiful brown rice here. Now I'm going to take care of that. Okay, I'm going to go into the produce aisle. Okay, so body, here's some nice green leaf lettuce. Would you like this green leaf lettuce tonight? No. Oh, okay. Huh. Well, I'm getting a sense intuitively that it doesn't want that particular type of lettuce. I'm moving over here to the right. There's something feels very good about this type of lettuce. Body, is this the kind of lettuce that you want? Yes, right? It's not that it's saying no to lettuce altogether, but you're feeling intuitively, it's just giving you the feeling that you're not selecting the type of lettuce for you, you know? So something that may be a little bit more healthy looking, something that may have different forms of vibration to it, your body can sense that. As soon as you pick it up, your body can sense it now. It knows exactly what it wants. So when you picked up that other lettuce and you got a weak response through kinesiology, you go ahead and you take another particular piece of lettuce, feels very strong, feels fantastic, well, there you go. That's it. That's your dietary regime. And what you'll develop over time is not actually having to do kinesiology anymore. You'll actually naturally be able to gravitate to the areas of the food store, of the grocery store, of the market, that you'll just know. You'll know intuitively. I mean, you can always confirm it, but you just know what your body wants. And that's what it is. It's drinking, you know, this pure water. This one's without Ormus, but I was drinking Ormus earlier. But that's it. You just want to be able to continue to muscle test yourself until you have developed a 100% trust pertaining to what you want to put into your food as a diet. And this is what your body will do. Your body will not lie to you. Stay centered, stay neutral as you ask these questions. Don't feel, yeah, my body's going to like it. My body's going to like it. Oh, no, I'm going really, really strong here because I know my body will like it, right? It's not about trying to force the answer. That defeats the purpose. Stay neutral as you start to do kinesiology, muscle testing, okay? All right. And, of course, communication, as we were just talking about. Kinesiology, using something like that, using a pendulum, using a crystal, checking in intuitively, allowing yourself to work together with your own intuition, communicating with the body, working with the energy body, and allowing your chakra centers, allowing your organs, allowing your circulatory system, the cells within your body, you know, everything, to communicate with you naturally, and that you have the ability to do this. You can start with something as simple as kinesiology, or using a pendulum, or whatever it may be that you feel is a tool that will help you to communicate with the body. But as you do more of this, working with the chakra centers, for example, having those particular types of symbols that come through and generating that strong response within your body, this will make your body symbiotically communicative to you, and you'll be able to find out more about how you can work very, very strongly with your energy body to continue your vitality, to have it improve. Okay, so that's the energy body. Now we're going to look briefly, dyslexia, see? We're going to look briefly into the Akashic, okay? Because we are running a little bit of time, and we still need to get to some questions, okay? So, the living library. Well, what is the living library? All that represents life. The Akashic records in regards to all that represents the thought matrix. The thought matrix is the key to all of causality. In order for us to actually generate thought, we need to be within a state of causality. We need to function in continuity. We need to look into the idea of the expression of creation, of the idea of experience. So experiential reality is the living library. Okay? So on Earth, we have an immense living library here. We have more life forms on this planet than hundreds of worlds combined. We are a rich, rich, rich planet filled with all kinds of amazing life forms. And the funny thing is that a lot of beings that exist beyond our world, their type of monetary system, if they were to have one, would be genetics, would be life forms. That is what is, quote unquote, very valuable within many of the galactic community, is genetics, DNA, creating new life, hybridization. That's powerful. That's the money in the way. But again, it's not exchanged to the idea of feeling that there needs to be some type of empire or some type of unjust type of hierarchy of system. But the living library on Earth is so rich, so vast. Why? Because we have so many different beings a part of this planet. We have thousands and thousands of beings that have walked this planet for billions of years. and that Earth has been favorited by so many different beings, by so many different councils, by so many different beings that want to express their genetics with the life forms that are hybridized and appropriate in regards to what the collective consciousness of Mother Earth will allow. Right? But the living library is being able to access the aspects of all life, that you are connecting into that state of oneness. The Akashic records pertaining to how we look into our past lives, to how we look into our future lives, to how we understand different perspectives of human beings, to looking into their own Akashic fields, to understanding personality, to seeing, to kind of feeling the mechanics about how the world works, to how the galaxies work, to how the universe works. Everything in regards to the creativity of thought, from the microcosm to the macrocosm, in a form of causality, represents the idea of the living library. So that is an extension of the Akashic records, or the Akashic, right? When we're taking the records from the Akashic, this would just be another similar type of process pertaining to the living library. That if we're looking at the living library, we're looking at causality, we're looking at all life that is expressed through experience. Same thing with the Akashic records. That's all you're doing, is you're looking at it in the way that the records are helping in regards to understanding something with event, a person, place, event, or thing. Right? And that's the whole idea with the living library. So we're accessing this momentous database that represents the structure of all life, and even the most minuscule thing that you could possibly imagine holds all of the secrets of the universe contained within it. It doesn't have to be a gigantic thing. Okay, so the universal library. This is something that exists beyond thought. This would be raw Akasha, not the Akashic records. This is pure Akasha. So when we're looking at the universal library, we're transcending that which is beyond thought. We're transcending that which is beyond experience, beyond expression. You're simply looking at isness. You're looking at God consciousness. You're looking at the idea that energy in its rawest form that has not been patternized through the idea of expression of thought. So that would represent the idea of the universal library, or the Akasha itself. So again, the Akashic simply just represents, has many different meanings, but it can represent the idea of space, it can represent the idea of energy, it can represent the idea of the ethers, etc. And that's really all we're doing. So we're not looking into the records of the Akasha, we're not looking into a living library of the Akasha, but we're looking into the universal library of the Akasha, how all of the behind-the-scenes mechanisms operate that generates the idea to the complement below itself, which represents thought. So it gets a little bit challenging and complication, but that's basically what it is. We're looking more at the idea of God consciousness. We're looking at the universal design, the universal dynamic that goes beyond the idea of thought. Okay? That's still something that many of us are still pondering. I'm still attempting to understand it myself, even though I understand the definition. Okay? And of course, we have the self-Akasha, or the self-Akashic records. And that all of our Akashic records, if we're looking behind a person here, okay, there's the legs, right? Okay. All of our Akasha has been anchored within our spine. Okay? Our spine holds the entire form of what we would understand is the living library within ourselves. Our own Akasha is all contained within the spine. This is why we always say, do you have the backbone to do this? Do you have a spine to do this? Or, you know, we notice that when we're in pain, the first thing that comes through again is our spine. It's the central unit to our body. Okay? So the Akasha is stored all within the chemical makeup, all within the integral structure of our own skeletal structure of our spine. So this is where all of that information is stored. And of course, we have the apertures. We come through the top of the crown, the bottom of the perineum, up to the hands, up to the feet, and again, it's generating a toroidal field. Okay? And it's just completely surrounding us, encasing us with this beautiful toroidal field, rich in different colors, rich in different flows of energy, different cycles, different field rotations, etc. That's the housing of our own Akasha. And it's stored, it needs to be stored in some type of physicalized chemical makeup, because that's what makes our physical reality plausible. Should this not have been attached to us, we wouldn't be able to experience reality in the way that we do. So the physical makeup, the transformation of the physical body in regards to its skeletal structure, each has its own components, and that these components are all part of the Akasha. The way that our skin looks, how long our fingers are, the hair that we have, the skin, the eyes, etc., our DNA, all part of a collective consortium of energy through our own Akasha that generates the response of this expression. Okay? That's our self-Akasha, and that our fields are always available to those who are sensitive to be able to pick up the information. Even if a person is very, very closed, you know, they're a closed book, right? Here's my life, and it's closed, it's got a lock on it, you're not going to be able to access it. That's true. They can definitely fool a lot of people that have closed their books. But those who are extremely adept in sensitivity can actually peek into their book. It can be done. It's what they call a backdoor technique. And so it can certainly be done. Shamans can actually do this quite well, no matter if there's a closed person or not. There's certain forms of backdoors that can go through. I'm not too sure why anybody would want to do that, but nonetheless, it is possible. Because from my own perspective, I respect the privacy of others, and I don't go snooping around into a person's energy field without permission. But nonetheless, there are backdoors, because there are thought aspects that are compromised within our field. So if we get the idea of a duplicate, and this is going to show you how you guys can do this, but I don't know if I really want to, but this is just an idea, okay? How it's done is that other entities that are very, very proficient in mind alteration and energy reading duplicate an emotional response within a person's toroidal field. So let's say if that loophole here, this cycle, this particular aperture here, is based on A for anger. All that person has to do is transmit a telepathic thought of anger for that person to now become emotionally compromised. And what happens is the aperture gets wider. Now, they can actually protrude themselves in and start viewing your own Akasha. They can also place implants into your toroidal fields as well, too, representing other different types of thought forms. Okay, this is just coming to the Matrix right now. And basically, that's how it's done. The duplication of a compromised emotional state opens an aperture. This is why drunk people, in that sense, are actually very, very easy to read, because they are just flailing all over, feeling all kinds of emotions, and their toroidal fields are being ripped apart. When you're drinking alcohol, you're ripping open the crown chakra. Okay? So it's actually very, very easy. You got this big, gigantic, obvious, hole in your crown chakra. You're getting all of these other forms of distortions from people who are severely intoxicated. And this is why they call them spirits, because now the spirits that want to house into that energy can now just start attaching into these exposed areas, these compromised states of the energy field. And this is how implantation can happen. It can happen very, very strongly with drugs and alcohol. It can be happening very, very strongly with excessive emotional states that have no form of mental balancing taking place here. So this can be done. But that's our self-Akasha, and that's how it can be accessed. This is how people in that sense can actually get quote-unquote possessed. Not so much into the idea that when they are functioning more in a love frequency, that the possession would be much more in the idea of a reflection to that love frequency. But there are people in that sense who just consume so much alcohol, consume so much drugs, are just so prone to excessive emotional states, their entire field is compromised. And a really strong adept is able to just negotiate the reservoirs of a person's field, and even just the smallest, tiniest field. It's kind of closed, it's open a little bit, but they discovered exactly the energy that's rooted to that aperture. They duplicate that energy, the person feels that emotion, poof, it comes in, and they go inside the fields. Okay? That's self-Akasha, and self-Akasha can be compromised. How can you prevent that? Well, you have to become very mindful. You have to become very aware. You have to be aware of basically every single cell in your body. You have to be aware of every single atom in your body. You have to be in that form of a state of guidance. You're not looking for control. You're looking for a state of guidance and natural flow that represents the idea of an equilibrium. You're not protecting your field, because protection is overrated. Okay? I'm going to talk about this as well, because this is a big thing. So I get this all the time. You just got to protect yourself. You just got to protect your fields. No, 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 no. It's not to say that protection can be handy in certain ways. But what happens is that protection holds an emotional response as well, too. And a lot of entities, if they really need to get through you, it doesn't matter how much protection you put up, they're going to get through. Okay? Protection is a fear vibration, and that's just the way it is. If you need to feel that you need to be protected, you are existing within a state of fear. And all they have to do is counterbalance that idea of a protection to project another state of fear. and now your aperture opens up a lot wider. Okay? It's not about protection. It's not wearing a bunch of jewelry, or feeling that you have to have all these rocks, these gemstones, these crystals around you, and you're saying blessings to Archangel Michael and Archangel Uriel and Archangel Raphael, etc., etc. That's fine and dandy. You can certainly create a nice protection field there. But you're doing this out of fear because you feel that you are incapable of resolving this yourself. And that is still giving away a power. And so an adept being will come through and they'll say, well, you look at all those protection this is. I mean, this is like a three-ring circus. It's people throwing these protection algorithms together. Well, so all I have to do now is throw some fear at them. Oh my God, what happened? What happened? And then they start stumbling again, and oh my God, I gotta get more protection, more protection, more protection, right? I need to start staging my entire house. I need to start staging my entire field. I need to do this, do that, do this, do that. And that's good, you know, sage certainly works, but that's not the point. What this means is that you are emotionally compromised. You are mentally compromised. Even though a lot of your fields can be protected through these particular types of rituals, you are not in equilibrium. You are functioning within a fear frequency. And this is how self-akasha can be infiltrated. Okay? This is the important part to remember. It's not about protection. Okay? It's about equilibrium. It's about awareness. It's about looking that fear right in the face and seeing the godness within it. Seeing that spark. Imagining like a newborn baby, isn't it? What do you do to feel that you are actually impervious to those particular forms? Love. You love and you listen. As you love, as you listen, you generate naturalness. As you generate naturalness, you generate equilibrium. As you generate equilibrium, your body becomes integral in regards to higher patternizations of sound and vibration that operate on such a higher frequency that those who are more so into the idea of manipulation cannot touch you because you don't exist in their reality. That's how it works. That's how it's done. It's not about protection. It's about equilibrium. It's about the idea of loving and of listening to yourself. It is awareness in its grandest state. That's the key. Okay? So I just wanted to throw that in there. So I get a lot of questions about protection. Okay. So moving on. The amalgamation effect. Okay, so I'm glad I booked like 90 minutes on here. We're probably going to go to about 6:30. But the amalgamation effect is something that, again, Adronis has shared pertaining to how a person is transforming themselves. Okay? So for those of you who already know about the amalgamation effect, this may be old hat to you. But for those of you who are still wondering, well, what is the amalgamation effect? What's happening? What do you mean all these other beings are trying to come through to me? Well, basically, every time that we have a dream, or every time that we're just existing in a frame-by-frame moment, we have these spheres of consciousness, these other worlds, these parallel worlds, these parallel Earths, these parallel galaxies, these parallel universes, etc. Okay? Every single moment that we are attaining realization brings about an amalgamation effect. Okay? When you realize, when you are aware, when you are conscious, you are at the appropriate junction to serve catalyst that represents these realization points that become amalgamations. Your body is being interwoven like a web. So you would basically just see these crisscrosses, like stitches, that are coming through your body. Okay? And the Akasha, the amalgamation effect, is bringing in all these interwoven fabrics that have been brought forward through realization. What prevents amalgamation effect? Stubbornness. Closed-minded. Volatile, angry, etc. All of those are generated responses that are attempting to create a fear vibration. But even with these, there's still going to be an amalgamation effect because there's still energies looking to get in. Because it will go into extremes. How your own consciousness works is that it will start off internally. That all these particular forms of inceptions, these ideas, these downloads, are looking to come through you in the most subtle ways possible to helping yourself advance, to moving yourself into a repopulation protocol, to, in that sense, cleanse your soul so that you are more prone to the state of awareness, to the state of consciousness, and to the state of expansion. That's what the amalgamation effect complements. When you are refusing to see the greatness within yourself, when you are refusing to love yourself, when you are refusing to be responsible, these particular forms of amalgamation impulses will intensify, and they will start affecting your physical reality. They will put you into a car crash, for example. If you fail to look into what is coming through, that realization is trying to invite to you. You are looking to become a new person. You are looking to become an amalgamated human being of wholeness. If you do not accept that, there will be extremes within your reality. And who's doing this? Yourself. You are telling yourself, these are milestones that need to be met. These are the forms of realization that are helping you to generate your transformations in reality. And if you do not accept that, if you do not allow your greatness to come through, it will come through you in the highest states of extreme for you to realize this was what was meant to happen. Okay? Your milestones are relative. Okay? They are not for sure 100% going to come together in a certain way. They are milestones. They're realizations. They're amalgamation effects. The amalgamation effect will come together in a way that is subtle at first, but if it continues to be ignored, if it continues to be escaped from, if it continues to run away because you feel how pathetic you are, how horrible you are, how unloving you are, how unworthy you are, etc., you're causing intensity. And it's meant to come in. So this is yours. This is who you are. This is what's trying to come in. Will you let it in already? Right? And that's what's happening, is that the external reality will be the extreme of saying that this is going to come into you, whether you like it or not, right? So this is where there can be a lot of extreme situations, car accidents, breaking up with loved ones, financial peril, all of these things, because we still are transfixed of thinking that we need to exist as a certain idea, that we need to propagate the feeling of preconceived notions to live in reality. And that's not how the universe works, ladies and gentlemen. It doesn't work that way. You don't work that way, okay? Can't be done. You have to move into the state of realization. In order for you to understand the blissness that you are, the amalgamation of the wholeness of your being, to move into these expansive states, to become multidimensional, you need to bring all of these in. And so these will come through dream states. These will come through past life regressions. These will come through realization moments. That's what the amalgamation effect is. When you have realization, you have inception, when you become aware and expanded a lot further, that's the amalgamation effect. Okay, so that's it, particularly in a nutshell. So, there you have it. Okay, now, final topic before we move into Q&A will be stasis bodies and Akashic retrieval. Okay, there was a question I had today when I was doing a session about a person asking about, well, do I have like a Syrian body in stasis? Is it true that there's another parallel self out there, so to speak, that is locked under key, so to speak, and is transmitting their energy for me here, for me to be me? The answer is yes, but it's not so much in the idea of one stasis body. Now, this is all prevalent to the point of perspective in regards to how one anchors themselves. The whole idea is that you have a plethora of beings in stasis. Okay, so if we have one being here, we have another being here, we have another being here, and they're kept in stasis. So basically that just represents the idea that they're in some type of suspended animation. They're in comatose states. And this is the funny thing with people who are comatose as well too, is that they go into stasis and they actually project themselves as other forms of consciousnesses, living lives in other dimensions. Okay? So if we have, again, 3 particular lives here that represent our life streams on planet Earth, so we got E, 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 right? This one connects with this particular life. Maybe that's in Peru. Okay? This one, let's say, is in Japan. Okay, who you are right now, you're in the United States. Okay? All of these particular forms of stasis bodies are existing simultaneously. There is no past, there is no future. Now you will discover that these stasis bodies all represent different themes of consciousness. In Peru, there was something about an indigenous life that was happening here very, very strongly, really connecting to nature, connecting with Earth. And this life in Peru felt very earthy, very natural. In Japan, it felt like a businessman. So it felt like there was someone here who was still very much in the dark of what they felt they were capable of. They didn't see their greatness. They're looking to return back into the Creator. They want to look more into one infinite creation. And so the Japan businessman, in that sense, is all about the business. It's not a word about higher consciousness. It's all about physical reality, etc., etc. And we see how that all ties. Now, if I have a person here that's from the United States, and they're starting to go through a spiritual journey, right? This is all about a person who went through as a student to a mentor on Sirius, let's say, for example, and they had to go through all the patterns of their student form and move more into an advanced mentorship. Well, then they're reliving that through Earth in the United States. This person, first of all, functioning as a student and then moving more into a mentor, right? That's how they all correlate. Now you can also have substasis bodies that exist in other particular plateaus, maybe something in Arcturus, maybe a parallel Earth, maybe another particular type of angelic consciousness that's coming through and generating all of these forms. So stasis bodies are all representative of soul shards or soul retrievals or Akashic retrievals that are coming together here and helping us become who we are through this amalgamation effect, a fully themed and realized human being with the potentials of all that they wish to experience in this life to become whole, to become amalgamated together. Okay, so that's the whole idea with stasis. Now, sometimes stasis, depending upon the individual, can be technological, it can be natural. There are some beings that can just induce themselves into a natural comatose state and project their own bodies, project a part of their essence towards the grid of a planet and house themselves into that grid of the planet and now incarnate as part of an interwoven fabric energetically with that person, with that entity that they're looking to become incarnated on planet Earth. Okay, so these are all the stasis effects. So stasis bodies and Akashic retrievals. Sometimes you'll discover entities that will project their own consciousness because they're very lost. You know, they don't know what else to do, and so what they do is based upon a relationship of a mirror effect. They will actually contain themselves in an orb, in an astral stasis, and they will maintain themselves in this astral stasis, and they will actually project part of their consciousness, part of this interwoven fabric, this interwoven web, so that they can become liberated. So they basically comatose themselves, and they become part of a amalgamation effect as well, once realized, so that they can retrieve information through their parallel self, come back to them, and feel liberated. And it's that oneness connection, it's that oneness feeling. There's something that they need to retrieve from that soul shard that represents yourself, just as you're looking to retrieve something from that soul shard that represents themselves. It's a parallel mirror effect. And once they are amalgamated, once they are realized, once they are forgiven, once they are liberated, then the soul shard becomes whole, returned back into wholeness again. It starts to become defragmented. And so now that particular entity that was in the astral plane that kept themselves very low, maybe they're in a hell dimension, for example, and now they uplift themselves because they have been able to forgive, they have been able to acknowledge, they have been able to liberate, and now they can move up into higher transcendence because it's just an extension of a beacon of energy representative in relationship to you and them. So, very cool. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's how it works. Reality is everything that we never thought possible that it could be. And this is just a bit of an informational tour on that. All right, well, thank you, everybody, for tuning into the broadcast today. So we are going to go ahead and move into the Q&A. So I'm just going to go to my monitor here and just pull up the questions and answers here. So let's begin. And hope you've enjoyed everything that we've been discussing today. Again, quite a big show. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of cycle through these questions. Adronis is going to come through and present a standing conscious channeling pertaining to some of these questions we'll have. We'll probably do maybe about 5 or 6 questions as we're running a bit short on time here. Okay, so here's a good one here from Heart Center 333. Heart Center 333 asks, what is the best way you can think of that would allow a person to astral consciously for the first time? Okay, so to do conscious astral projection. All right. Thank you very much. Heart Center 333, I'll bring Adronis through, and he will present information regarding this. We are here at this time, and we bid you greetings, and thank you very much for the opportunity of this interaction today. I am Adronis of Sirius, sending love, appreciation, and gratitude to all who are tuning in to this particular broadcast being brought forward through your internet collective consciousness. We have received the particular query in regards to a quote-unquote best method that one may be able to do to astrally project consciously. There is a particular method that you can do, And this method is remembering your dreams to the fullest extent of your ability. The reason why this is important is because you are becoming familiar with the astral domain. Every single one of you go off into the astral domains every time you go to sleep at night. As you attain more of a fundamental memory in regards to not only the interface of the dreams, but the capacity to the mechanics necessary within the dreams, you are going through what this conduit is also termed as Easter egg hunts. As you go through these Easter egg hunts, you are actually subliminally reprogramming the dream landscape to fundamentally improve your own memory. That can also assist in regards to conscious astral travel, to lucid dreaming, heightening in that sense. But the whole key here is really paying more attention to your dreams, being very, very observant to what your dreams are sharing with you, understanding the mechanisms and the forms pertaining to the dreams themselves, attempting to gain more familiarity with how you are moving from one point to the physical aspect into the dream plane itself. Another particular method that you can utilize is the idea of sleeping the body and awakening the mind. And this again helps in regards to more conscious, vivid memory, yes, pertaining to your own dream states. As this becomes more proficient through your own equilibrium, you will discover that the forms of triggers necessary to induce a conscious astral projection state will become more simplified, simply because your mind is now becoming much more, shall we say, attained to the point of understanding the nature of the mechanism of the astral realms. It does not form such an addiction to the point of physicality. It is the fear of the physicality to where you feel you are departing from it that keeps many of you anchored within the physical realm, preventing you from actually having lucid dreaming states or astral projection states in this way. So it is more so in the idea of equalizing the form pertaining to the realms of consciousness that you exist within, through both the physical world and the dream space. As you start to do this more and more, you will discover that it will become a simplistic effect to generate a conscious astral projection state in that form, because now you see both worlds as one. You see both realms as one. You see both experiences together as one. That is the understanding. We thank you. All right. All right, thank you for your question. Heart Center 333. Okay, so let me see what else we got here. Scrolling down the list here. Okay. So, okay, we got quite a few questions here, so I'm just kind of scrolling down here. Brad, do you work for the Illuminati? Let me check my schedule. I'll get back to you on that. I think I'm doing something with it on Thursday. Let's see. A lot of statements here, so let me see. Any questions here, guys? Let's see if we get questions here. Okay. Okay, so just seeing if there's any kind of information related to what we've been talking about today. So I'm just kind of going through here. Okay, here's an interesting one from Christian Sanderson. Okay, Christian is saying, I'd like to know how to commit to new energies coming in and leaving old negative patterns, and how to open knowledge for my higher self and manifest the utmost for myself, and how to make that whole process a habit rather than a chore. Okay, thank you, Christian. So we'll bring Adronis through for this. We thank you very much for your inquiry, Christian. The whole idea is that if you're looking to stimulate the idea of knowledge, and again, that's not really the appropriate measure here. It's not about looking for knowledge. It's not about feeling that externally there can be some just way for you to actually bring about knowledge within yourself. In order for you to attain an enhancement and ability, you must first convey to yourself that you must now measure together a decrease in inability. So for you to have ability, you must first decrease inability. You are looking at a scale here. All you're really needing to look at is that everything that you feel holds yourself within limitation has the justification, the validness, and the worth in regards to what functions appropriately within your reality. So if you feel that you are unable to pull in information, then the universe is telling you right now, well, Christian, you're not going to be able to pull in any information because you feel an inability to do it. It is not so much in the idea of attempting to develop a technique, as it is more so in the idea of masterful negotiation within yourself to feel that attaining higher consciousness insight is as natural to you as breathing. And that's the key. This is how it works. This is how it operates. It does not need to come through some type of dogma, some type of ritual, some type of condition, some type of practicum. That's not the idea at all. It is more so in the idea of looking into yourself to feel what you think you are generating in regards to the response of value that makes you feel disempowered. That's the key. And this goes for all of you. The only reason why many of you feel that you are incapable of bringing about what you are looking to transmute, to transform, to transcend, is because you still feel these barriers within your mind, feeling that you are unworthy to even do such a thing. You still feel that there is some type of magic formula written in a book, that there is some type of video on your YouTube that you can look at that will transform everything. We are not meaning to disappoint you, but that is not the understanding at all. It is looking into yourself. It is negotiating with yourself so that the mass contained in the inability scale can start to shrink down and the heaviness comes together more so with the point of the ability. Where there is ability, that has come together through the remedying, transmuting, transformation, and liberation of inability. That is how it works. That's how it operates. That's physics. You are not needing to get any more additional energy than you already are. You're not getting any more additional consciousness than you already are. You already are pure consciousness. You already are pure ability. But you have contaminated yourself to feeling that so much of you is incapable of that ability that creates the idea of feeling that you're limited. That's all you've done, period. So the whole idea is looking more into yourself, what you feel you would need to do to go within and negotiate with yourself that I am capable of this particular trait rather than feeling that I am incapable of this particular trait. That is the understanding. We thank you. Okay, great. Thank you, Christian. Okay, moving on. So let's see here. Okay, Karen asks, I would like to hear your perspective on the great white lion energies. Okay, thank you, Karen. We thank you very much, Karen, for your opportunity of, shall we say, conversation here. The whole idea is that this was basically the entire term of your Sphinx. Your Sphinx represented the idea of that particular lion energy. Now, its energy was more within what you would know as the Christed ray, which would represent the idea of the golden energy. The white energy would be the idea of, shall we say, the creational guardianship, the creational gatekeepers to where all creation is fermented through the lenses, through the filters, through the prisms of a universal dynamic in order for it to become, shall we say, jovial or, in that sense, intense, exciting, loving, appreciative, into those all particular forms, all based upon expression. You see, everything that really contains reality has always been brought forward from the source energy. The white lion, in that sense, is just a symbolism in regards to what you would know as a keeper, in regards to what you would know as a guardianship of the knowledge most high. And so when you're looking at the white frequency, you're looking at the creational aspect, the forms of the higher guardianship that represents that symbolism that generates the response in regards to fractalized patterns of consciousness that function together in complement or lack thereof based upon the energy. All energy that supplements itself together through the white ray frequency condenses itself into the prisms, generating contrast to where these contrasts themselves can be extended and pulled into different polarities that are assimilated appropriately in regards to how one themselves decides to utilize this energy to their own needs, to their own ends, and to their own expressions. The whole idea is that the white light energy, the energy that is guarded by the lion energies that you would understand, are not subjective in regards to the, shall we say, appropriate apparel to what can be worn as a garment energetically. It simply represents the resonance. It simply represents the idea of the conversion from one prism to another, to where the purity of the light becomes a distortion of the rays of the rainbow, and that they decide exactly, whoever is responsible for utilizing this energy, the perspective from what they perceive based upon the observer's choice. And that's the whole idea. So the energy of the white lion in that way simply represents that of what you would consider to be creational guardianship, creational formality in that way of allowing the conducting of this experiment infinitely to be in the state of design. We thank you. Thank you very much, Adronis. Okay, sorry guys, I just got a phone call. Yeah, Brad here. Oh, hey Illuminati, what's going on? Yeah, I got you down for Thursday, so don't worry, we're going to do some evil deeds then. Oh, you're bringing a goat by, that's fantastic. Okay, see you later. Oh, sorry, I guess that answered your question, right? So I am busy with the Illuminati on Thursday. So. I'm just teasing, man. No, I'm very much illuminated, not the idea of Illuminati. So. Okay, so let's see what we can get here. Okay, here's a good one. So I have one here from Tyloga. Okay, Tyloga asks, Brad and Adronis, I would like to hear your perspective of divine masculine and divine feminine, please. Okay, well, Adronis can go first, and I can certainly follow up. All right. We thank you very much for your inquiry. The whole idea of the divine feminine and the divine masculine is what you would consider to be heaven and earth, from what you would consider to be the corporeal and the non-corporeal, from what you would consider to be yin and yang. All of these aspects are simply contained in a highest state of purity, yet they have allowed segregation for one to understand the depths of their meaning. So when you are looking into the idea of a segregated masculine, representing more so into the idea to the addiction of physicality, to the addiction of solidity, to the addiction of domination and rule. When you are looking into the idea of a segregated feminine, looking into the idea of victimhood, looking into the idea of emotional imbalance, looking into the idea in that sense of emotional or mental disarray, looking more so into the idea of in that sense intense confusion. Forms of, shall we say, separation that have generated themselves mentally, energetically, emotionally, and physically in that way, expressed through the purity of the feminine that has, in that sense, gone through these lower octaves. But the whole idea really is that when you are looking at the purity of the form, you are looking to that which represents the wholeness of manifestation, the manifestation effect, which generates that of the masculine. The whole idea of the ideology, the inspiration, the nurturing, the creativity process itself, representing that of the femininity. So again, however you wish to perceive this in your own way, the segregations will always represent the idea of different aspects to how they, in that sense, in their own forms, generated by their own themes, determine their alignments in regards to hopelessness or despair or panic or anger, or quite the opposite, love, appreciation, joy, affection, etc. They all have those particular forms of qualities, but those are simply looking at them in the idea of octaves, sub-octaves, sub-sub-octaves, etc. But when you're looking at the purity, you're looking at the feminine together in that form of spiritual creativity. When you're looking at the masculine, you're looking into the idea of physical manifestation creativity. That's the basic idea. Bringing forward the grids, the outline in regards to the physicality itself, the orchestration in regards to the environment, where the feminine, as it were, is now filling it with the essence of love, of sensing, of the degree to pure creation in that way. That's the basic idea from what we can share. We thank you. Thank you, Adronis. And it's basically just that way as well, too. I really like to look at the idea of the feminine and masculine as a star tetrahedron, or a Merkaba, so it's not the best one. But basically representing the idea of completion, that we have the masculine that represents, again, the peak, we have the feminine that represents the cup, right? And just being able to bring those two aspects together and basically creating a form of androgyny. And that really, to me, represents the point of a completed human being, when they bring in the pureness of the masculine, the pureness of the feminine, where they feel that manifestation ability, where they feel that solidity, that groundedness, and they feel that spirituality, and they feel that essence, and they feel that love, and they feel that creating and nurturing. That's the whole idea of the process of moving into that state of divine androgyny between the masculine and the feminine energies. Okay, guys, it is nearly 6:30, so we do have to wrap things up. Sorry I could not get around to all other questions, but thank you, everybody, for the questions that you have posted. We are out of time, so again, please feel free to check back here. Feel free to go onto my Facebook if you like. It's facebook.com/BradJohnson79. Also remember that there are some really exciting online courses that are happening now on ConsciousMatrix.com online intuitive classroom where you can learn to develop more of your psychic ability, intuitive ability, your ability to channel, connecting to your higher self, looking more into the Akashic records. And of course, there's another course called the Sacred Circuitry and Light Language online course as well. This will basically help you to understand the basic fundamentals of sacred circuitry, using it in more advanced levels to help prepare your body, to help improve all different types of fundamentals within yourself, as well as learning the process of light language. So again, this is an online course as well, and both courses are starting in September, and they are group courses. So wherever you are in the world, as long as you have an internet connection, a computer, a webcam, you're good to go, and you can participate in this online class. And we have 9 participants per class. So please feel free to check that out. It's been really, really exciting doing these now for the past few months. I've really, really enjoyed all the participation that comes through, and a lot of what is produced is something that you will not find anywhere else, because this all just comes from flow, very spontaneously, very authentically, to the best way that I can convey it. And of course, those of you who receive it make it even more authentic in your own way. So please feel free to check that out on consciousmatrix.com, as well as private sessions, Akashic record readings, body regeneration, healing, sacred circuitry sessions, and a lot more. Lots on consciousmatrix.com, not to mention free meditations and free videos as well. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful week wherever you are in the world, and I will speak to you again very soon. Namaste, and may it be well with you. Good night.